Welcome back, and we are moving on to our next conversation for the day: blood shortage for emergencies in Nigeria health system. And with me in the studio is Chukwujekwu Oha. He is a Rotarian and humanitarian. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm good.
Okay. Now, can you give us an overview of how blood is currently sourced and managed in, the health system right now?
Okay. Most of the times, people get blood from family members, from hospital blood banks when they are available, but more than 50% of the time is always not available at the blood banks for people to access. So it becomes a very big problem.
Okay. So first of all, what are those medical emergencies that would require urgent blood transfusions?
Ranging from road accidents, fatal accidents, women going into theater for C-sections, even women delivering through the normal procedure, they all need blood. People who suffer from sickle cell, they need constant transfusion. Children who suffer from acute malaria and anemia, they also need blood. Yeah.
Okay, so how is it now that voluntary blood transfusion is so low in Nigeria? Why? What's the issue?
Well, I'll put the blame on the system, both economically and the healthcare system itself. Yesterday I was discussing with friends, and they made mention that Uniri Giraffe Nigeria, right? And that's a big concern because a lot of people who would naturally want to donate, when they look at how their day is going to go, they have to go to work, do they even have what to eat? And a lot of people in the country are generally just frustrated, so when you begin to talk about coming to voluntarily donate their blood, it's something that they would consider rarely. And again, the system itself, I've gone to donate blood, and after donating, right in front of me, they sold the pound of blood I donated for free. I'm not saying it should have been given out for free, but the amount it was sold for, at least cutting out the money for blood bag and the testing they did, then giving it out almost at nothing would have made sense, and they would have waited for me to leave. Now, if it is not that I'm someone who is passionate about blood drive and constantly donating blood, that's enough reason for me to decide I wouldn't ever do that again, because what's that disrespect? So the system is also very flawed, and so people hear these stories and they are not encouraged to go out to donate.
So even in the system, they are perpetrating acts that are making people not want to donate blood.
Of course.
That's quite sad. And are there any, Africans, are there any cultural or religious beliefs surrounding blood transfusion that may also discourage Nigerians from wanting to donate voluntarily?
Well, I don't really know of any, but I know that there are religious organizations that don't give, they don't also receive, they don't believe in blood transfusion, but they are in the minority, so we won't really call that a big problem,
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, people are naturally just scared of donating because they've not done. I know that the first time I was called to donate, I only did it then because it was to my cousin.
Okay.
He was a sickler, so I knew he needed blood transfusion. So there was no way in fact, I fainted after donating my first transfusion. So I was scared. I've heard a lot of, if you donate, you can faint. What if you donate, you need your blood back and all of that. So I didn't want to do it, but it was necessary. So people are just scared. They are not well informed on the importance of how important it is that they do donate once in a while.
Yeah, okay, but what's the process of donating? Since you've donated before, what are the processes you went through before, being deemed fit to actually donate? And then were there any aftercare giving after donating? Like, just tell us how it works.
It's really quite easy. You'll be tested to ensure that you're healthy enough to donate. First of all, you must have eaten before going to donate so that you have strength, and you'll be tested, your blood will be screened before they bleed you at the hospital. And after that, you just have some rest, probably take water, just settle down for 15 to 30 minutes, and you're good to go.
So how come you fainted?
My first time, well, again, the system. So I donated to my cousin brother. After donating, where the blood enters from, sometimes it clots, and they assigned a nurse then to massage that area so that the blood continues to flow. But the nurse went away, and I saw that the blood had clotted, so I had to now do the massaging myself. Someone I was supposed to be resting, but I had to do what the nurse was supposed to do. So I think it was the stress, because I had to stay up until the blood had finished transfusing. Still went to go and look for the nurse to remove the
syringe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I think it was after, because I knew I just woke up and found myself taking drip in the morning.
Wow. Now, how would you say this reliance on family donors, how does it affect when it comes to emergency preparedness?
Well, sometimes those family members might not be available. They might not be healthy enough to donate. I did say that I donated first to my cousin, but I stopped donating after that. I started donating constantly again in 2019 after I saw a child die because the mom was not healthy enough to donate. She was there. She could donate, but she was not strong enough. She too wasn't feeling so strong, and the dad was trying to run around to get what's needed, and that whole, before they could do all those stuff, the child passed away. So that prompted me that this is something that is needed. Someone should not have to die when we have people who are healthy enough to help. So most of the times, even when those family members are available to donate, them they might be sick, they might, after they have screened their blood, they might not even be a match to the person that needs the blood, so it becomes a challenge.
Yeah. And how would you rate the current state of blood bank infrastructure, like across Nigerian hospitals, particularly in rural areas?
Well, I know that if Nigeria as a country needs 2 million pounds of blood yearly, and in a year, most of the time they're always able to get only 500. This accounts for 75% shortfall. That's a big percentage. Yeah. So then most of the time we are even only looking at the urban areas. We have not even gone to the rural areas. So you can imagine how unaccessible it is to them to get blood. So people in those areas most of the times rely on family members, but then it's most of the times easier to get blood from the community in those places.
Okay. Now let's talk about blood safety and screening. What's the level of confidence when it comes to the safety of transfused blood, especially blood matches and things like that?
Well, the issue of the shortfall we are having have made that people now patronize, for lack of better words, the black market when it comes to blood. So people go to places where they can easily get it, and most of the time those facilities don't take good care, they don't pay attention, they don't screen the blood well enough, and people contract all series of diseases ranging from HIV and all of that because a certain person, a certain organization, a certain facility have not done their due diligence in ensuring that the blood being transfused to a person or being bled from a person is safe enough to be given out. So for me, most of the time, that is why I still go to the government-owned hospitals, because at least they do well in ensuring that blood transfused are safe and properly screened. So though they are flawed, but they always do their due diligence when it comes to ensuring blood safety.
Okay, you are a Rotarian, so how is the Rotary? How are you, in the Rotary Society helping, to with this issue of blood shortage? And do you regularly go for, blood transfusions and all of that stuff to help out? Oh.
Yeah, I think it was on the 14th that was World Blood Donor Day. That we had series of blood drive in various states where we have Rotarians. Almost every other places, everywhere in the world, Rotarians go out to different hospitals. In Enugu, they went to UNTH to donate. So and also create awareness to encourage people to go out, because when people donate blood, they are practically not just giving out their blood, they are giving out life. They are helping ensure that someone gets a second chance, because most of the times, most emergency deaths that happen at emergency units in different hospitals are 20% because they lack blood for very, very complicated issues at the emergency ward. So they encourage people to donate. They also donate themselves. We had a very, very strong blood drive within our district and in different states within the southeast and everywhere other places in the world. Yeah.
And in your opinion, what type of publicity should be given to improve, blood donation culture, like things that can actually work and help people come out in their masses to donate?
I think that if the government can help to, sensitize people, different religious organizations can also help, because if they come into the picture, the government comes into the picture, partnering with different organizations like Rotary International, different NGOs to sensitize people, it will help a lot. When people who donate regularly go out to tell people their story, how they've helped, how their service have given people, especially people who have received blood also, if they can also come out to say this is how this thing has helped them, especially people who have received blood from voluntary donors, because most of the times as Rotarians and Rotaractors, we get calls and they tell us this person is in the hospital. We just go to our group and we try to see if we can get somebody, and 70% of the time we're always able to get a Rotarian or Rotaractor who is able to go to any hospital as long as it's within the locality of it was asked for to donate. So people should talk about it more, because I think part of why we don't have a good number of people wanting to donate is because we've not made it an issue. We just probably, after we have talked about it now, it becomes another year, becomes before we bring up the issue as a topic of discussion. So it shouldn't be something that should be talked about maybe once in a year whenever it's Blood Award Donors Day and people are encouraged. No, it should be a continuous sensitization in partnership with different bodies, the government, the religious organizations, different NGOs, to ensure that we improve, because it is because we don't have enough voluntary donors. That is why people go to patronize all these other places that end up becoming an issue for them.
Okay, and what in your opinion, what do you think should be the standard protocols when it comes to storage of blood, screening, and transfusion?
Okay, when it comes to standard protocol, I think I'm not a medical practitioner myself, but I know when it comes to screening, people should understand how healthy they need to be before coming to donate. Because, for example, there are young persons, all these guys that let's say peasants, but people that all these young boys that are in Holy Ghost, pushing wheelbarrow and all of that. Some of the time when they need money, they go to, can't mention the hospitals, but they go to those places to donate blood, and they pay them little change. And this lab scientists, whatever they called, those guys that bleed work in those labs, they know that this young boy have been here before, and he comes again, and you go ahead to bleed him barely 2 weeks after he had donated, just because you're paying him peanuts, and they exploit this situation over and over again. And these young ones, they don't know any better. So people, we need a lot of sensitization. Before, when I started donating constantly in 2020, I used to donate blood every month for the entire year, and it wasn't healthy. I didn't know any better, but it was very risky. It was a very serious risk that I took. It was until I joined Rotary, I was properly educated, and I was told you should donate once in 3 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so these are things people need to know, so that now, once in 3 months, once I have counted my cycle and it's exactly 3 months, I call the hospital and know if now I donate only on demand. I don't give my blood to the blood bank, because again, the system is very flawed.
Yeah. Now, aside from, the government, do you think that maybe private or like NGOs can also look into these issues you've just mentioned and maybe find a way to reduce these problems that we have when it comes to donation?
Yeah, of course. Organizations, NGOs can set up blood banks. I think people might even end up trusting that system more, right? Once there is transparency, once people get the right information all the time, once people are sure that should they donate blood for free, that probably if blood was meant to be sold for 20,000, that people are getting it for 5, 6, 7,000. It's just small change to what they should have paid. So people need to know that, one, that the blood they've given are safe, and that and we can also build a community. Imagine where people, probably something like a database or a group or whatever, where people who donate constantly are always educated, giving health tips. I myself, it has helped me to live healthier, because now I check what I eat. I always try to ensure that I'm healthy enough, because I don't want the situation where I go to donate and I'm told I can't because I have one thing or the other. So it will also help, change your mentality about how healthy you need to be. So it will also help. It's not just only that you're giving blood, you're also helping yourself become a healthier person.
Yeah. But don't you think that if blood is being donated voluntarily, it is supposed to be given out free, because you've mentioned even if it's a little change compared to what you would have paid?
Well,
so
blood bags are not. I had this thought also when I started donating. When I said that they sold my blood in front of me, I was I got very, very pissed off. I think I even had it out with them then. So, but then blood bags are not free. They are bought with money. The screenings and all of that, the storage also will have to be maintained. So this is also, if the government can probably have some sort of partnership with an NGO to manage public-owned blood banks. There are people out there that might be willing to fund these banks to make these things free. Then definitely it can be given out for free. But when that is not happening, then we can only be talking about percentage discount, but not totally free.
Okay, now let's look at the state of the country and how it is affecting people, both when it comes to living healthy or being healthy enough to actually donate blood, and how it affects them generally, health-wise.
Well, in the beginning I mentioned that everybody in this country is frustrated. People are angry. People are unemployed. Imagine telling someone who has no job, who stays in the house, and you're calling the person out to come and donate blood. Imagine what might have happened. I think I've caught someone that shouted on me on the phone that I didn't ask whether he has eaten, and I'm asking him to come and donate blood to someone. This is someone that always donates anyways, but I don't know what might have happened during his day that might have caused that outreach. But I think the economic situation of the country have also contributed to the drastic reduction, because currently people, if there were 100 people who donated voluntarily as of last year, they have probably reduced to about 30 or 40 or even less. So it has affected it drastically, and it's a very, very big concern.
Okay. And how can we come out of that situation so that people can live healthier? Because there's a lot of problems. No money, no jobs. You're not being able to feed or take care of. So how can people come out of that to enable them participate in things like this?
Well, I think at some point when it comes to blood donation, now for me it should be about how important it is, because anyone who goes out to donate blood, 80% of those that donate are people who are not necessarily rich. They don't have much money. They are not entirely billionaires or millionaires as we may say, but they are people who understand the necessity of this thing, and they know how fatal it will be that a pregnant woman enters the theater for a C-section and there is no blood anywhere. I think my first blood donation this year went to Ituku, because a woman was going to the theater for a C-section, and the family members that were available was only one person that could donate. The other persons were not a match, or they were not healthy enough, so I had to go to donate to her. So imagine if I wasn't available, and on top of that there is no blood. So it becomes a matter of how important. So people need to understand how necessary it is for them to donate. People need to, the information needs to be out there that people who are suffering from sickle cell, someone can lose their life because there is no blood in the blood bank, and most of the time they even need fresh blood. But so people need to understand the necessity of it. That is where we need very serious publicity. We need to educate. We need a lot of awareness. There should be a full-blown campaign to educate people on the importance of blood donation. I think that is one way people will begin to see the importance of it, because a lot of people started donating when they saw how important it is for them to give their blood.
Exactly. Now, do you think tech can be of any help?
Yes.
Technology, AI, things like that?
Yes. If we have some sort of database where, like I said, some people don't trust the system, but if there can be a database where donors are matched to people who need blood, I think it will help. People will trust that system even better. I know I, for one, will trust that system even better. That I don't need to go to the hospital and be in fear that the blood I'm giving will not serve the purpose. It might be sold to someone that has more money, because that is what also happens. Hospitals give preferential treatment to people who are VIPs, in quotes. So if there is a database like that that also helps people, so if I donate, since I donate every 3 months, that database also manages the cycle. So at that instance where it's time for me to donate, is checks matches donors to people that need it. It will help go a long way, and it will also help reduce the cases of people exploiting the system to enrich themselves.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering, what if, what if there is a situation where there is an urgent need for blood and there is none immediately available? That automatically means that the patient,
Yeah, and it happens all the time. I think according to World Health Organization, up to Nigeria accounts for 20% of deaths, maternal
and child mortality.
In the world, right? And 20% of the time this occurs because there is no blood anywhere. So that alone should even motivate anybody to be a constant donor, donate blood regularly. So yeah.
Do you have any real life cases or experiences of people who survivors or bereaved families who may have still had their loved ones with them if blood was readily available?
Of course, like I mentioned, why I started donating constantly was when I watched a child die, because the father wasn't there to donate, the mom was not healthy enough, and the child barely, I don't think that child was up to 2 years yet, and she left because there was no blood anywhere, and they were trying to make calls, but it was late, and I came to donate to someone else. I had already donated my blood. So
yeah. Okay, so now let's look at the way forward, right? What immediate actions do you think can be taken to improve, availability of blood? Long-term strategies that maybe the health sector can adopt to help out with this situation?
Well, I think the immediate action that can be taken is that we need more awareness. Then we need more partnerships. I don't think the government can do it alone. We all know how the average Nigerian perceives the government. Once you talk, you could say the Ministry of Health is coming to do this in this locality, coming for blood drive for that matter. You and I know that you will barely see anyone there. But when it's probably the church and NGO that is trusted, it's easier for people to come out for these things. So we need more blood drives, but we need partnerships. It can't be just the government alone. It can't be just one body alone doing it. We need everybody. We need everybody. We need everybody to come to the table, partner, and make blood drives somewhat, probably weekly or monthly. It will go a long way to help. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chukwujekwu Oha, for your conversation. I do appreciate. Thank you. All right, and we will continue the morning program right after this short break. Do stay with us.
Signature TV. News in your pocket.